So I was going to get all spruced up and uh, use my lights and do a more professional looking video on this topic. But you know what? It's about getting real. And this is something that is really coming up for me. Whenever there's any kind of survivor that comes out about sexual abuse, and the story is doubted, or there's backlash because the person is talented, or people just can't wrap their brains around the fact that someone could be highly intelligent and talented and still be a child molester. It kind of brings up a lot of stuff for me, and as a survivor myself. So I wrote a blog post about what not to say to a childhood abuse survivor, because I'm both. I was abused as a child, physically as well as sexually. And so I wanted to include some of the things that people say to survivors, which are quite ludicrous. So I'm going to read some of those, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about the whole Woody Allen thing. And there's just so much going out around that it's just mind-boggling. Things like, why would he do that while he was in the middle of a custody battle with her? And, why would he go over there and do that? And, that's one of the main characteristics of someone who abuses, is they do it with you in the other room. Most of my abuse happened with my mom right in the other room, in the bathroom, getting ready. That is part of the allure. That is part of the danger, is part of the allure, the almost getting caught. Most abuse happens with someone else in the house, not when they're alone. So let's just get that myth out of the way. Let's do that. And then the whole, just doubting her story. Because what? Because he's fabulous? Because his movies are iconic? And because he is one of the greatest, writers and filmmakers? So, like anyone, let's stop thinking that a pedophile or someone who abuses children looks a certain way. He's not the guy who's being creepy. It's not always the guy who's being creepy and watching children on a school bus, or, creeping around a playground. It's fathers, it's brothers, it's uncles, it's cousins, it's good guys, good salt of the earth guys, funny guys, lovely, warm guys are doing this. So let's stop the bullshit around that they look a certain way, and that because someone is so wonderful, and so talented and so smart, that they can't possibly be a child molester. So those are just two things. I have so much more, but I'm like, sitting on this still, and I'm still trying to sort through my own emotions about it. And also trying to be objective. Obviously, I come from a background where this was done to me, and telling the truth didn't go so well. So obviously this is going to bring up things for me. And I'm trying to also be objective about the story. I mean, I read a whole article by, I think it's he was a biographer of Woody Allen, and he went point by point why he doesn't think it's true. And he had some good points. I was really trying to be very open, even though usually when someone comes out about sexual abuse, I don't doubt them at all. But I just wanted to see, what is this guy thinking? What is the other side? And just some of the things he was saying just didn't even make sense. Things like, why would he do that if he's in the middle of a custody battle and all that? And I'm just like, you have no idea how the brain of someone who does this kind of thing works. That's exactly why he would do it. There's danger, there's anger, there's rage, there's vengeful behaviors involved. Why not? Um, and so he was just, I think he said a lot of things. He pointed out Sun Yi and how she wasn't his actual adopted daughter. She was Mia Farrow's adopted daughter, and how, that was taken out of context. So therefore, this is being taken out of context as well. And talking about perhaps Dylan Farrow being coached and rehearsed. And there's a great article about this, about how we can't go by how adults would respond to trauma. Children respond differently, and often their stories are jumbled and missing parts, and it's not the same. The brain of a child processing trauma is completely different than an adult. So I'm going to go into some of the things on my list. And these are all things that have been said to people that I know, things that have been said to me. It's quite frightening that we're still talking in this way. We're still dealing with this issue that, 1 out of 3 women will be sexually abused. That's 1/3 of the population. It's probably more than that. 1 out of 5 boys. And we're still telling people to move on. We're still telling people, get over it. It is a lifetime of healing. People don't get over it. So here's my list. And I've added a few that people have sent me. So if you feel like you have some that you want to send, please do. First one is move on. Move on from it. It happened in the past. Get over it. Stop living in the past. You need to forgive. You just need to forgive. Like you just need to do it because it's good for you. And I don't have a problem with forgiveness. What I have a problem with is jumping over the steps that lead up to forgiveness. The accepting our pain, the speaking our stories out loud, being heard and seen in our pain, grieving the loss of innocence. There are a lot of steps in between, where you are now and getting to forgiveness. And I think people want to jump to that because it makes them more comfortable. The next one is, you're not over it already? Why not? Why is it taking so long? It wasn't that bad. Along with this one comes things like, he didn't rape you, did he? It was just fondling, right? And just things that minimize the painful experience of being violated. It only happened once. And I see survivors saying things like that. Well, it only happened once to me. We even minimize our own experiences. And we compare. Oh, but she was raped. Oh, but she had several molesters. I only had one. And we need to stop doing that. Pain is pain. It doesn't matter whether it happened to you 1 time or 10 times. Pain is pain. And your pain matters. You can't let that affect you. You just can't. You can't let that affect you. Meanwhile, you speak to any survivor and they will tell you the way it affects them till this day. They could be 60-something, 70-something years old, and it does affect you. There is no way it does not affect you. It affects the way you have relationships, who you allow into your life, how open you are, how closed you are, how you walk in the world, your sexuality, the way you walk in the world as a sexual being. It affects so many things. Trust. Everything. So to say, that you can't let it affect you is just really silly. Are you sure you were abused? Are you sure that's what happened? Maybe you can't handle sexual intimacy because you're with the wrong person. That's what it is. That's why you're having this reaction during sex. It's because you're with the wrong person. Maybe you should get on meds. Yeah, maybe you should get on meds and, calm this down. And really, there's nothing wrong with meds. I've said this so many times. I've been on medication before. For about 7 years of my life, I was on medication, and I needed it. I needed it, and it was wonderful, and it really helped me. But when people send you to medication, it's sort of like they're uncomfortable with your feelings. So therefore they're sending you to like kind of get it under control, rein it in. So go get on some meds so that I don't have to deal with your feelings, so that I'm not uncomfortable. And that's usually that kind of sending people to meds for that reason is very dismissive. You're too sensitive. So, you know, you shouldn't feel that bad about this. It's not that big a deal. You're being too sensitive. Um, More of, you sure that happened? Maybe you're confused. I doubt that's what happened. You should really keep that to yourself. Like people don't really want to hear that, and like, it's really, it makes people uncomfortable. So you should keep that to yourself. Thanks. You should be grateful for your abuse. This is a new one. You should be grateful because it helped you move beyond your ego self and connect with your infinite self. This is just lovely. And this kind of thinking may help certain people. Like they may need to hear that, like that's healing for them. But please don't put it on every single survivor. Not every single survivor is going to feel that way. Don't put that metaphysical woo-woo stuff on someone else if that's not how they vibe, is that's not how they feel. It's just so dismissive. You're minimizing their experience. And to say that they should be grateful, I mean, really? No matter what, I came to a point in my life where I felt that I was abused and that this was part of my plan in my life. And my work was to help other survivors. I got really clear on that. And I remember the day that I really felt like this was all in divine order. And that was for me both very bittersweet. But it was also very healing. It was like, wow, so this was supposed to happen. That's my understanding. That is something that helps me, but I would never put that on someone else. So let's try to keep those things to ourselves. When you're trying to help someone, I know you're trying to help, but that is not helpful if that's not their belief system. You need to have a relationship with him or her. You need to have a relationship with your father. He's your father. It's your mother. Have a relationship. You're supposed to. You know, here are so many women terrorized by their fathers, mothers and uncles and cousins, and forever changed. And we are supposed to choose into a relationship that is demeaning to us, that is painful, that is stressful, that is so full of, it's like rewounding. To ask someone to have a relationship with that person can be extremely rewounding to the victim. I'm sure he's sorry. Yeah. You can't be angry all your life. You should be grateful it wasn't worse. At least he didn't rape you. She didn't break any bones, did she? That's okay. It's just some bruises. Just everyday terror. I'm sure they didn't mean it. And finally, everyone makes mistakes. But you know what? Some mistakes, they're virtually unforgivable. Some mistakes cost way too much. And it's just not okay. So please, if you are a loved one of a survivor, please be careful what you say to them. Just sit with them, love them, hug them, ask them how they're doing, touch their hand, send them a note. Tell them you're there to listen. Hold space for them. Hold space for them to just talk. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to try to fix it. You can't fix it. This is not fixable. Not by you. Only the person who's on the journey and on the healing journey can heal themselves. So please think about what you say before you say it. Thank you.